More Joy in Heaven, a literary fiction work by Canadian author Morley Callaghan, published in 1937, follows the journey of a former convict as he endeavors to reintegrate into society after spending a decade in prison. The novel's title draws inspiration from Luke 15 verse 7, a Bible verse highlighting the greater joy in heaven over a repentant sinner compared to righteous individuals who do not require repentance. Callaghan's protagonist is modeled after Norman Ryan, a real person who committed multiple robberies in both Canada and the United States. During his imprisonment, Ryan transformed into a model inmate and later became a prominent advocate for prison reform in Canada. Despite being released to much acclaim and social standing in Toronto after 10 years, Ryan's popularity dwindled, leading him to revert to his criminal ways. Tragically, a year after his release, Ryan was fatally shot while attempting another robbery. The novel commences by introducing Kip Caley, the central character, who has been sentenced to a lengthy prison term for his involvement in robbery. However, within the confines of the prison walls, Kip discovers an alternative way of living. Father Butler, a compassionate priest serving the prison, takes Kip under his wing, guiding him towards a moral existence that does not rely on criminal activities for survival. Like his real-life counterpart, Kip transforms into an exemplary prisoner, committed to assisting others and cultivating a stellar reputation. His reputation becomes so noteworthy that Senator McLean intervenes to ensure Kip's early release. Nevertheless, McLean's motivations are not solely driven by altruism. He is known for grand, PR-friendly gestures and reckless benevolence. Released during the Christmas season after a decade of incarceration, Kip soon realizes that life outside the prison walls is far from simple. Senator McLean secures him a position as a greeter at the Coronet Hotel, but the job proves to be rife with temptations. Kip finds himself dangerously close to his previous vices, drinking, gambling, and prostitution. Simultaneously, Kip finds himself thrust into the glaring spotlight as the media relentlessly pursues him and his family, splashing front-page stories about his successful rehabilitation as a convict. The newfound attention begins to inflate Kip's ego. Accompanied by Ellen, Senator McLean's spoiled adult daughter, he visits a carnival where she brazenly probes him with impolite questions about his past as a bank robber. Kip tries to brush off her inquiries, but his social naivety leads him to believe that he is becoming a popular and well-liked figure rather than a fleeting curiosity exploited by society. Oblivious to the murmurs of disapproval from passers-by at the carnival, who openly discuss his criminal history, Kip remains unaware and fails to comprehend their negative comments. At the carnival, Kip unexpectedly encounters Joe Foley, a former inmate. Foley assumes that Kip's reform is a mere facade designed to secure early release, believing him to be a lost soul in need of guidance back into the criminal world. Foley attempts to entice Kip with a new criminal scheme, recognizing how Senator McLean and the media are exploiting him, and he tries to warn Kip about their ulterior motives. Father Butler, perceiving the looming danger of Kip's potential descent into criminality, offers him a peaceful job as a gardener, one that would remove him from the shady environment surrounding his current position. However, Kip dismisses the offer, intoxicated by the notion of his newfound fame and importance, considering the job too humble for his elevated status. Soon, Kip embarks on a romantic relationship with Julie, a model, and the two share a profound understanding. Concurrently, Kip's aspirations grow larger. Although he relishes the attention his hotel job brings, he had discovered a sense of purpose in prison while mediating between guards and inmates. He implores Senator McLean to assist him in obtaining a position on the parole board so that he can aid other reformed prisoners, but the senator callously refuses his request. Kip, feeling desperate and rejected, seeks out Judge Ford, who had initially opposed his release from prison. However, the judge denies Kip's request, citing concerns about his dangerous nature. Judge Ford attempts to warn Kip about Senator McLean and Mr. Jenkins, Kip's hotel boss, emphasizing that they are merely exploiting him for publicity and do not genuinely care about his well-being. Regrettably, Kip disregards the judge's warning. Frustrated after failing to secure the desired job, he becomes susceptible to manipulation by Foley and Ike Kerman, two former inmates who see an opportunity to lure him back into a life of crime, convincing him that he would fit in better in their world than living as a law-abiding citizen. In a moment of misguided sympathy, Kip breaks the law by assisting an injured robber in evading the police, providing him with temporary shelter. However, he later confides in Father Butler, confessing his guilt. Jenkins approaches Kip with a new proposition, becoming a wrestler to gain more notoriety. Gradually, Kip begins to realize that Jenkins, McLean, and society as a whole do not genuinely care about his own desires and aspirations. Seeking solace, he once again turns to Julie, unsure of how to navigate his future. During a particularly vulnerable moment, Kip succumbs to Foley and Kerman's schemes, getting entangled in a bank robbery plan with them. Consumed by a maelstrom of anguish and anger, Kip, gripped by misplaced grief, seizes a gun and unleashes a torrent of bullets. His targets extend beyond the police officer before him. He aims at the embodiment of a society that once raised him up, only to cast him aside. In a moment of clarity, Kip realizes the gravity of his actions and hastily retreats, seeking refuge in Julie's apartment. The police relentlessly pursue him, firing their weapons as they close in. Despite Julie's desperate pleas for them to cease their aggression, her voice goes unheard. In a courageous act, Julie positions herself between Kip and the onslaught, becoming an unwitting shield. Tragically, a bullet finds its mark, mortally wounding her. With horror-stricken eyes, Kip cradles Julie in his arms as her life slips away. In their final moments, they confess the depth of their love for each other, and Kip acknowledges that Julie was the sole individual who truly cared about him. Julie breathes her last breath. Kip, too, sustains injuries from the intense shootout. He is transported to the hospital, where he must recover before facing charges and being returned to prison for his crimes. However, Kip's wounds prove severe, and he ultimately passes away as a free man. The New York Times Review lauds the book for its sensitive and empathetic portrayal of life, while acknowledging that the dialogue between Kip and Julie is occasionally lacking in believability. Morley Callaghan, an esteemed writer of his era, was once part of the expatriate community in Paris, which included luminaries such as Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, Ezra Pound, James Joyce, and others. Among his notable works are The Loved and the Lost and A Fine and Private Place. In 1960, Callaghan received the Lorne Pierce Medal for his exceptional contributions to literature from the Royal Society of Canada. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.